IDS here with another ranking video. This time we're covering the 2008 Makuta canister sets. I know people are probably like, oh, what about Mutran? What about Icarex? Yeah, I mean, I've settled on this format. I'll probably touch on them in some sort of bonus characters or Titans video. I don't know. I've set the precedent that I'm doing the 1 to 6 ranking of canister waves. These guys won a wave similar to the 2008 Nuva. They were split into 2 halves. Now, what's my background with the 2008 Makuta? What will flavor my perception and my rankings? Well, I have very different views on the Mystica and the Fantoka. So, as you know, I wasn't too hot in 2007. The Paraka build was back. And I was very, down on the fact that, okay, we're not getting new stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of these sets. This is frustrating. So when the Fantoka hit, I was overjoyed that the Toa did not have the Paraka build at all. I actually, despite them being an Ica builds, except for Pahatu, didn't dislike the Fantoka. Actually, I'm like, okay, these 3 look pretty cool. Obviously, they have their own problems. Are they the best fits for their characters? Maybe not, but I was like, okay, cool, great. And the Makuta came with a new body, which I was like, great, fantastic. And I actually really like the 2008 Fantoka Makuta body. It's actually a really good piece, and it's underrated. It didn't come back after this year in Bionicle, to my recollection. I know Von Nebula used it to questionable success. But yeah, it was good to see a new body piece. Now, it was built around the ribcage design they had. So they've created a kind of a bomb dropping feature as part of their function, which was cool, something that we hadn't seen before. And the shadow leeches are almost like, they fall in the lineage of the evil rubber ammo. You've got the Krana, you've got the Krata. Shadow leeches are mutant Krata from my memory, which are kind of, it's funny because they're really cutesy. They almost have like a cartoony cutesy face. So I don't, in terms of threatening, I'm not sure how threatening they really are, but the kind of egg sack chest thing is a cool look and feels evil and icky and gross. So I was very happy to see a new body here. It is very flat at the top, which again doesn't necessarily create those the upward arcing traps that I would like, but it has significant heft and bulk to it, which is an improvement on the Ica body, which I've said before I find quite flat from the side. And I think honestly the biggest problem with this piece, and I'm not sure why they did it, is really actually the fact that it has the neck connects with a pinhole, despite it being designed to fit with the Bionicle hand, which has an axle, which means the head always wibble wobbles. I'm not sure why they used that hole instead. There's no real reason. It's not one-ended or anything like that, so you would lose an axle in there. It feels very arbitrary, but it's a issue with that piece. So, of course, for me, I was overjoyed. I was like, oh, great, finally some new pieces. The Toa may not have it, but Makuta did. That's great. Which led me to have quite a favorable view of these Makuta in retrospect. Sorry, not in retrospect, back then. In retrospect, coming back to them, I think I gave them a lot more praise probably back in the day. My kid self was just more excited that finally we're getting a new body, something new. Mainly because it leads these guys to be kind of samey, which I don't have a problem with that, to be honest. I think far more forgiving of the clone sets of back in the day, mainly because the sort of the trade-off with having unique sets every time is that some aren't great, while a lot of the clone sets used to have one great design. And both have those strengths, but I know some people just automatically dismiss those previous sets. So it's not necessarily a big problem. It's just I think a lot of these guys don't. Well, they're not in Ica builds. They are in Ica builds, and also not only that, they have some weird choices in them, which makes them a little bit questionable in terms of their actual overall look. Now, conversely, all the happiness that I had with the Fantoka, yeah, we got a new body. Yay, the Paraka body. The backwards Paraka torso is gone. All that came crumbling down when the Mystica revealed. The Paraka body came back in with a vengeance. And also the Mystica Makuta heavily using the matoran pieces really kind of... it didn't sit right with me. It meant they had restricted articulation, weird proportions. I was not a big fan. When I saw them, I was like, ugh, this is kind of gross. I don't like these. I hate these sets. Like the fact why they're using the matoran pieces. I understand, you know, the Matoran library was brand new this year, which, why wouldn't you use the new pieces? I'm complaining about, you know, the BIONICLE builds not using the new pieces that are being created, and here they were using them in full force. But yeah, I just, as a kid, didn't sit right with me. And so, similar to how I split the Fantoka and the Mystica Toa, you know, all the Mystica were in the bottom three, all of the Fantoka were in the top three. That was basically my view at the time. But you know what, revisiting and re-looking at these sets, and as I've gotten older and more critical, and I guess my taste isn't as just, oh, I hate this because it's not this, I think my opinion has become a little bit more nuanced. And you know what, I've kind of surprised myself when actually looking at these again and thinking, is it really just so cut and dry that I prefer the Fantoka ones to the Mystica ones? Are the Mystica ones just bad? I feel like it's changed to a degree that, again, surprised myself, and I think there's probably going to be a little bit more debate internally, and for you guys to sit through my annoying rambling about, into how these actually stack up. Now, just as a broader, I guess, story context, I detest the fact these are Makuta, right? Not only are these Makuta, but these are like Pterodax's like elite lieutenants and shit. There is no way in hell the Toa Nuva should even stand a chance against these guys. The Makuta in story are so OP. They have so many power. Like, even though, you know, the Fantoka ones are blind, and the Mystica ones are locked in those forms and have restricted powers because of the pit mutagen that's in the swamp, right? Even still, 6 Toa Nuva and Taka Nuva couldn't beat Makuta himself. These guys may not be Makuta Pterodax level, but they are pretty close considering they're his best ranking soldiers, I guess. It doesn't make sense. The fact they can even stand a chance makes no sense. And I just detest the fact that the Makuta was changed to a species. That's not an uncommon opinion, but it particularly winds me up. I always refer to Pterodax as Makuta because Pterodax is such a stupid sounding name. It's not threatening, sounds goofy, takes away such an iconic, great, tribal-sounding name that the Makuta has, and replaces it with, I think Greg's fucking World of Warcraft character was called Pterodax. What a fucking dweeb. Hate that shit. Terrible choice, stupid name, idiotic choice to make this a species. And what's crazy is, it could have been someone like, what? These guys can still be called the Brotherhood of Makuta. They can just be Makuta allies and just be their own species. Hell, use them to flesh out some of these other species that we have. Like, you know, we've got Sidorak species, which, and we've got Rudaka's species, and Kreka's species. Like, there are a lot of other species that we have in the background of BIONICLE, just through the Dark Hunters and other deep lore stuff. These could have just been different species that we hadn't encountered, or, you know, with some design alterations, make them other species. Or just, you know, they are just weird, evil individuals, similar to the Baraki, that just allied with Makuta and now fall under the Brotherhood of Makuta. There was no real particular reason to make them a species without A, making the power balancing make no sense, and B, removing a lot of the mystique of Makuta. Makuta, to me, in his best form, is this vague entity that, is he Madanui's brother? I don't know. Like, in the stories, he's his brother, but, you know, he's sort of a nefarious spirit. I really like the element in Mask of Light when he hits Taka Nuva with the, you know, awake he suffers. I'm sparing him pain by keeping him asleep. I'm guarding his sleep. It makes you question the whole thing, because at the end of the day, the Turaga are elders who have kept a lot of things from the matoran and the toa, and, you know, very close to the chest, and it's suddenly like, wait a minute, we've just been going off what the Turaga have said. Is Makuta truly actually just a guardian of Mata Nui? Like, are we doing the wrong thing by waking him up? Have the Turaga misled us? That is a really cool, complex, you know, mysterious story element. And, you know, the Makuta saying, I came from nothing. Leaving him this mysterious entity versus tying him down to a particular species that, you know, they're just a bunch of them was so fucking lame. Terrible story idea. One of many idiotic later canonizations by Greg. And again, giving him the fucking pterodax, call the species anything but taking Makuta away from him. Really stupid story beat, really idiotic. Makes 2008 not really make much sense in terms of the power scaling. There is no way the Toa Nuva should be able to be even coming close to beating these guys if they truly are amongst the elite Makuta. Makes not a lick of sense. It's stupid. Fuck that story choice with a fucking rusty pole. But that doesn't necessarily have any impact on these sets. But just wanted to give you my, I guess, broader thoughts on even them within the story. They're shit. But yeah, okay, let's get on with the sets. I think you've been given enough context. Oh, actually, I spoke in the Tridax pods. The Ninra Ghost Blasters, spoke about this in the 2008 video. They're mid. Really forgettable. They're like worse versions of the Kordak. It's as if the Kordak could only fire one big dart, and it's pretty weak. They don't look terrible, and I appreciate them having a little bit more construction than the Midax Sky Blaster, but yeah. They do then end up giving the Mystica Makuta all Marder Red in their color scheme, and then also Lime Green. I don't actually mind it so much. For some reason, it doesn't clash horribly to me for some reason, despite the fact that on like Bittle and Goras, they do disrupt the color scheme a lot. In fact, even the Lime on Krika. Don't know, maybe I have selective color blindness with them. But yeah, I think that giving the Toa the neutral colors made sense there. Okay, let's get on with actually talking about the sets. Who is my least favorite? Sorry, sip of coffee. That would be Bittle. Bittle. Well, how funny. His name is Bittle, and he is a beetle. Bittle, I guess, is the core example of what I mean, where I didn't like the fact that they were using matoran parts for canister-sized sets. This is the picture here of the CG, which obviously will be the most favorable visual of him. Yeah, he's pretty compact in this picture. It almost like, okay, it makes sense. Let's actually just go with the positives first of all. The wings. I actually do like the wings. These pieces I feel like are pretty nice shields. I actually like this piece a lot. Again, I complained a bit about how it's a bit lackluster to have it as Onua's secondary Toa tool, but as a piece it's pretty great. And actually using them as beetle wings is pretty nice as well. I like the fact that we got slicer limbs back again. It's really nice to see these pieces like live through. And in fact, they even made it into Hero Factory, so I love this piece. Again, real classic. It's the constraction lineage lives through. Slicers remain ever present. And I actually don't mind the way these are connected. I like the fact that these can fold up on his back to kind of give him the beetle shell. Doesn't fit together that well. Like, it's not like they tessellate really nicely or anything like that, but the idea is there. Kind of neat. His weapons, I don't think either of these pictures give you a good view, are really underrated. I really love these blades a lot. They're just super cool. Really underrated weapons. I think low-key contender for one of the best actual weapons of this year. I'm not sure, I can't recall if they even got used again. Not to my memory. No, actually, I think Samad used one of them, but yeah, very cool. I guess getting recolored Rakshi limbs in classic yellow was good. Again, cool to see a set throw back to classic yellow. I always like multiple variations in color as well. Liked a lot about 2001, especially with the Matoran, is that individual tribes had different color schemes, but that all still worked. Like, obviously the canister sets tend to stick the same color, but it was nice seeing, like, you've got shades of burnt orange for stone, burnt orange, tan, brown, dark brown, yada yada yada, only matoran, grey, purple, orange. Like, it feels like the real world, right? Like, every race isn't exactly the same color. You've got mixes and shades and different phenotypes. So I like having different color options within a tribe. That's not applicable, actually. I just realized because I'm talking about a Makuta, who are basically just gas people. But yeah, cool to get these in yellow. Though, one thing I will say is, while it is great to get yellow, these are kind of in the BIONICLE roster of parts, and there aren't that many yellow parts in that, the BIONICLE build library, so it actually kind of makes them a little bit restrictive in what you can do with them. And I'm thinking, in fact, if he was heat orange, not only would these pieces be probably more useful, but actually the slicer arms being heat orange would have been a recolor as well, which would have been great, considering these actually came in yellow in a slicer set. So they aren't actually a new recolor. So perhaps he would have been better in heat orange. Again, it would have been he would have been a little less unique, but maybe more usable. And honestly, that's about it I can say for him positively. I'll say actually, well, the new claws pieces they introduced are cool. I like them both. Gorast uses them, and so do some other cool sets. Nuva uses these as his fingers. They're cool pieces. So he introduces some cool pieces. I just really don't like the way he looks. His proportions are goofy. His tiny little body and his long limbs don't look that great to me. The fact that this piece, the kind of, I guess, the more Onu and Po Matoran style Matoran piece, with the shoulders slinging back and his neck coming forward, I just don't like the look of it. The Ghost Blaster just kind of being off to one side, it's just whatever. Don't particularly like his mask. It's cool that it's built around a Vaki head. Very weird that returns in a canister set. And this again makes me think, like, if you were gonna do this weird like band of villains and you want to not make them Makuta, it would have been cool to see maybe make this a vortex or something. I don't know. Like, flesh out some of those species that we know there are loads of them out there. Why don't you do something with that versus tainting the Makuta? But I don't know. I've never been a big fan of this mask. The Motrek. It's a cool power. But I don't know what it is, but the shaping always reminded me of a duck. If you filled in this negative space in these pincers, I feel like it would look like a duck bill, and everything about the shape of this head is duck-like to me. And that always felt goofy. But yeah, I don't like him. It's just overall he doesn't look that great to me. His proportions don't appeal to me. He's almost like he almost feels like some of the things I didn't like about the Baraki. The bare limbs that are unarmored for no reason. Again, I think with a beetle, maybe with a beetle we wanted him kind of heavy armored. I feel like when we see beetle characters in media, they tend to be quite armored, because what's the defining trait of a beetle? The carapace is very kind of covered up. He could have probably done with like a Carapa type build. If we had, again, I know it makes it more of a generic build than what he is, but given him the Carapa armor set, maybe would have made him look cooler. Plus, those pieces didn't really ever come back within BIONICLE. I think Power Miners had them in blue, but BIONICLE never had them again. Give him some of those. Give him more of a shell. I think it would add to the beetle aesthetic. And the pincers look so soft. Like, we've got lots of like pincer faces. Like, compare him to his pincer mouth to the Vorox. The Vorox looks sharp and kind of deadly. It's just so rounded off and soft looking. Again, for me it just looks like a duck with the bill kicked out. So yeah, not crazy amounts to say about him. He's just the worst to me. I don't like it. So yeah, Bittle goes into last place for sure. Now, I think my traditional view here would be that Gorast would be next. That was definitely my childhood view. Gorast would be next. I want to speak through Gorast, just some elements of her. Interesting that we get another female character. I think this is the first wave we ever got where two of the canister sets were female, which was nice to see. I find it hilarious that next year they un-element locked blue characters from being female, and instead of giving us more female characters, they gave us less. Look, they'd be like, great, the blue one no longer has to be a female. What are we going to do? No females. Tarex is a man. Which is hilarious. But okay, Gorast was one as a kid as well that I was like, oh my god, what? A canister set has non-posable matoran limbs? Are you serious? This fucking sucks. But you know what? There is the fact that she has multiple limbs. I complained about sets like Kalma, you know, adopting a squid form and not having extra limbs and just looking just like a dude. So actually, you know what? I kind of appreciate them if budgetarily they couldn't give her fully posable extra limbs, that giving her the matoran limbs, that's the way they needed to achieve that. Fair enough, I guess. Also, this picture is weird. This full CG image of the Mystica, both Gorast and Bittles, like, marbling is reversed. It's a weird look. I think I prefer the one in the set, but looks cool to see. I think the corruption coming from the Stinger feels a bit more natural. So it's annoying getting especially a full-size, like, set with very restricted right angle limbs. Means it really affects the posability, especially then when you combine them with these claws. Like, these claws have the bionicle hand in a way that the wrist gets a lot of articulation. This, it's like these arms are hindered at like a double right angle, which means the posability of these lower arms is really awkward. She uses a backwards Inika torso. I mentioned other sets that have this, such as Pohatu Mystica, Forox, Vastus. It's not great. It's okay when you try and do something with it, and again, the fact that she's got the extra arms, it's almost like a little bit more forgivable, but it would be more forgivable if it actually matched anything in the color scheme of this set. Why the hell is this piece grey? It's so out of place, doesn't match anything. The only other grey pieces are these color-locked ankles, which are basically hidden once this thing is posed standing up, and those are never intentionally supposed to be grey. It's really weird that she has a grey torso. I have no reason. I can't fathom a reason why, other than the fact that maybe they had surplus of this piece lying around. It is so out of place, and it really detracts from the look of the set. So, on top of what I already kind of disliked with the fact that she was using the Matoran limbs, this is a big hindrance. Now, I will say, on her legs, I actually don't mind this, using the Matoran limb here. A, because she has a full leg and it gives her the backwards. There is a term for this type of leg. I'm going to call it dog legs, but there is a different term for it. I can't remember what that is, though. It made sense here, because while this is still a restricted limitation, there is a knee. And actually, it's interesting because the Matoran sort of, I mentioned this in the Matoran video, changed the direction of building for Bionicle and kind of established that for CCBS, where the traditional Bionicle buildings direction was a limb had a ball joint and a ball joint, and a socket and a socket and a socket. Meanwhile, CCBS and the Matoran limbs introduced socket to ball joint, which we didn't really see much in G1 until this point. I think the Rakshi thighs were the only other piece that really lended itself to ball joint to socket. So it's almost cool to see how they worked around that for this leg, because it has this sort of, it has to incorporate this change in building direction. So actually, the legs I don't mind, and you know, using this the new claw piece and the feet works a lot better than it does for these wrists. So yeah, legs I'm okay with. I will say it's not her quote-unquote weapon, but her wing pieces are freaking awesome. They are really great pieces. I love the hilt resembling the bottom of the Matoran limb, the little kind of crystalline bubbles on there. It just looks like an energy sword. An amazing weapon. Well, it's not a weapon piece, but it's such a great energy sword piece. It's awesome. Very great piece. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I think it appeared in Thorn Racks in Hero Factory, and I don't know if it appeared anywhere else, but what an amazing piece. It's not her weapon, but wow. Probably my favorite wing piece this year. If not for the versatility of the Mystica wing. But yeah, fantastic piece. Face is cool. I guess I didn't mention that all the Mystica masks are not really masks, they're just built around pieces, almost similar to something they would do for like a Rahi build, I guess. They're kind of cool. I spoke before that I would sort of prefer if the Makuta masks this year were not so explicitly like monstrous. They work for the sets 100%. Like, again, it's a mosquito woman. It makes sense for her to have a mosquito face. But just in terms of, yeah, it's nice to get Konohi that are more usable by more characters, and I think having, like, look into the classic era Konohi, an evil character could wear a How, a good character could wear a How. It was nondescript enough that anyone could use it. These, you really can't use this mask outside of an evil mosquito character. Or even just, yeah, not even like an evil character. It has to be some sort of mosquito character. Sorry, another sip of coffee. But yeah, that's I guess that's all I gotta say with Gorast. I don't mind the way her weapon is used here. Again, the lime matches the rest of her color scheme. The red even sort of matches her eyes. She has orange eyes, but, you know, it's close enough. It's not that jarring to me. But yeah, I think the biggest knocks, again, it's the arms. It's like I can appreciate the effort of the arms. And they don't look terrible. It's just the janky posability. I think giving her really, like, right-angled limbs are very annoying, even on the small builds. To have a canister-sized set with the right-angled tiny limbs is really annoying. I wonder if they had given her one of the Matoran limbs that had more of a relaxed bend to them, would that have been better? I'm not sure. But yeah, big issues with the arms. But again, there's some leeway given, because if budgetarily that was the only way to give her multiple arms, I prefer her with multiple arms than if she had just been given standard limbs and she's just more of a boring set. But so there's, you know, I'll shoot that concept some bail, but the grey torso is kind of unforgivable. That piece exists in black. It's been used in multiple sets. Why the hell does she have a grey one? Same thing with Onua Mystica, actually. Another set this wave that for some reason has a grey torso for no reason. So yeah, I don't know. Did they have a surplus of this piece that they just needed to get rid of? I don't know. Maybe they thought that there'd be way more Liwa Fantoka sets out there than they thought, and they had to get rid of this piece. So that's a big mark on Gorast, to be honest. But that's my thoughts as a whole. So I will say this. Again, as a kid, I was like, this is definitely the second worst. This one sucks. I hate this one. Again, looking at them as a whole, as an adult, and with later critical eyes, I think I have a more nuanced opinion now. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have some sort of weighing up, like I've done in some of these recent ones, where I'm like not sure about the order. So I'm not actually gonna immediately throw her into into second last place, because I kind of want to talk about some of the other guys. Let's not just jump to Kricker, I guess, because again, let's mix it up. Let's talk about Chirox, right? I want to talk about Chirox. There's no reason why I reordered them. Chirox. Chirox is a set where, again, as a kid, I'm like, oh, great, you know, we've got the new body. This one is automatically good and great, and, you know, this one's awesome. Like, no issues here. Like, because at least they're doing new stuff with them, finally. I don't like Chirox. Looking at this set, it's actually fucking goofy as hell. And everything Chirox does, Mutran does better. And now Mutran is a more boring standard Inika build, and, you know, I'm crying about, oh, well, if you're gonna do something different. Not everything different is good. Firstly, the triple limb, weird. Like, okay, it's different. It's not the worst thing about the set, but it's weird for sure. The folding limbs thing is weird. It means these top limbs stay really unarmored for no reason. The wing placement is kind of awkward as well because of that. I guess you tuck, when you fold this up and you tuck it up against this piece, the wings are in a flying position, but actually it's kind of weird to pose it. I really like his blades. Similar to Bittle, these are really great underrated weapons. Again, I can't remember if they reused it. I know it was the back fin on the jet tracks. But yeah, having these then come out at a weird angle, like the Hordika neck is always at a weird angle anyway, but that is really awkward. I almost feel like if this came out in 2002, I'd be more forgiving, just because the sets back then were a little bit more abstract. But this late in the game, it just feels strange now that we've really established how humanoid these guys are. Yeah, those wrists are really, really weird. Coffee sip. The legs, I mentioned this in the Vastus video, where I'm like, oh great, we need to be using all the parts that we have in the library so we can mix up the Inika build. However, the Hordika limb is the worst Rakshi sized limb, and it's no different here. It's okay, but it doesn't look that great. It makes it really scrawny legs. don't particularly like the way that the Nuparu Mari armor has been used here. Just tapering off to the knee. Weird. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to achieve there. It doesn't look that great. Don't mind him having the new two-toed variant of the Paraka foot. Is what it is. It's cool. I guess it's different. But yeah, whatever. Even stuff like the torso armor. It's almost like Mada Nui the following year. Why is this lower to create like a gap? Speaking to Mutran has it tucked up under there, so it's like actually continually armored. This one, it's just there's a gap, and then he has a little belly punch. Odd. And even the Shellac as a mask. I like the Shellac, but it's weird. You can see it in this picture, like the way the axle angle is, it means the eyes do this weird thing where they don't actually line up with the eye holes particularly well. It just looks a bit strange. And yeah, so it's just like from the shoulder, so the Makuta body doesn't have the traps, which is fine. Again, you don't all have to have that, and I'll take this over a slouch. But so it's empty up here, and then the upper arms are empty, and it's just there's nothing going on here. The wings are just tacked on here. The wrists are awkward. The legs aren't particularly good looking. So I've got, like, really, Chirox, I don't think is particularly good at all. He doesn't look that great. And again, I think he was a poster child of this wave, and, you know, he has such a cool mask and weapons that I think he kind of coasted on that, but honestly, he's a bit janky looking. Looking at Mutran has a far more generic, boring Inika build, but I prefer his wing placement. I prefer these kind of Mantax claw hands. His armor is sitting in a better place. And using the Paraka feet is a bit more generic, but honestly, it looks better than the two-toed Paraka feet. So Mutran is doing less innovation, really, but I think overall looks better for it. Pardon me. Looks better for it. Also, it's another set that uses the Huki weapons in conjunction. Again, I think the Hukimari weapons were the go-to. We need a generic set of weapons because these pieces are so nondescript. Here you go, Mutran. You have them too. Vorox, you need a set of weapons. Here you go. Yeah, so it's like everything Chirox does differently is for the worse, in my opinion. And Mutran is a better version of Chirox, albeit more generic. And yeah, that's really all there is to say about him. He doesn't have much going on. It just looks weird. So honestly, while I would have put Chirox up here, does Goras look better than Chirox? I think maybe that grey torso. If she didn't have that grey torso, if she just had a black torso, I would be like, yeah, she has her limitation, and Chirox actually has hyper mobility compared to Goras. But I've said this before, I'm very much aesthetics over everything. The set can have functions. The set can be articulated really well. The set can be really stable and yada, yada, yada. Does it look bad in the end? If it looks bad in the end, all of that didn't matter. At the end of the day, good design is a mix of aesthetics and function. Something with great aesthetics might not have good functions, but that, to me, I don't care. Brutaka, for example, is the GOAT Titan. He's such a fantastic build, and he does nothing. You're not going to tell me a Titan that has 50 million gear functions and blah 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 that might look like shit at the end is better than Brutaka. It's simple as that. So Goras, despite all the hindrances she has, I'm weighing in my head if I prefer that to Chirox, and honestly I think I might do, which again, there's kind of heresy to my child brain. But really looking at Chirox with a kind of objective lens of how he looks and how kind of janky he ends up being, might actually fall below Gorast. And that, again, it's insane to me that I'm looking at this and thinking like, wow, the Mystica Makuta might outrank Fantoka one. Insanity. But, you know, I'm going to let that sit there and kind of stew in my brain because I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to make some really hard decisions. Okay. Let's, I guess, speak to Vampra. Let's pick one. Yeah, Vampra. Move, Antros. Get out of the way. We're going to look at Vampra now. Vampra kind of goes all in on the bat concept, right? even down to like this kind of the stubby legs. It's kind of interesting. They gave her dual wings, and her wings, while she has a more generic arm build, he has more generic arm build. These wings make more sense to me than Chirox, and when you actually outstretch these wings work together to create a nice winged look. She has one in black and one in blue. Honestly, I prefer if they were both blue, just because Vampra is a victim of the starting trend of canister sets without unique weapons. He has nothing. Like, and it was weird because I, as a kid, it didn't feel as obvious as like Vorox, for example. But like, yeah, he has Gali hooks, which is interesting. Another blue set with Gali hooks as the primary weapon. And then just the wing pieces that all of them except Antros have. Why did he not get them? I don't know. It's weird. They couldn't come up with another hook design. And not only that, you can't tell me it's a budget thing, because you have way less pieces in the set because they didn't bother giving him legs. Now, I understand that is for the overall design. I get it. However, was it worth it? Is my thing with Vampra. Was it worth it? Because in essence, yeah, it's cool getting this unique design, but now when you want to pose it and play with this set, you've got a little Stumperzoid here. Like, it's like, okay, you've got these tiny little legs that really can't do anything. And Krika does something similar, but I think Krika does it better, because Krika, with kind of having spike legs, can still stand upright. And you can still do a lot upright. Like, Vampra kind of only really works if you have him in a flying position constantly. Which you can. You can, you swoosh it around as a toy as a kid. Or, I guess, hang it on a string in your room. But beyond that, you'll always have Vampra kind of posed like this. Kind of squat, hobbling around, crawling around. And I think while having these pieces here on the side of a Hordika neck, I guess, works. It's one of those things where it's offside. Like, if you look at it from the front, these pieces are offset. Krika also doesn't have that problem. Krikas are central to those limbs. Centered on those limbs, so... Yeah, I don't know. What was it worth it for this? What if we had got, like, just a little bit more? Like, even if Vampra had mirrored the design of Krika's legs. I guess with this wave, they hadn't started the Matoran Peace Plague into those sets. I say plague, that didn't really continue into the next year. But as much as it provides variety of Vampra having something different, I almost wonder if they'd done a Avmatoran limb with the spike at the bottom, would that have been better than these stumpy legs? Because again, it means Vampra only really looks good when flying and posing. I think Vampra has the best stomach armor of these Makuta. Getting that Takadox piece recolored in silver is nice, and it does create the best shaped version of this body. The Vampra mask is okay. It's cool. It's nice, and maybe I'm just a little brainwashed with Moon Werewolf Air, if people remember that biotuber from way back in the day. Because it's always sort of had like a dog-like werewolf snout to me because of that person. But yeah, it's cool. I'm like, again, with the monstrous mask, this might be my least favorite one. I think I prefer Antros and Chirox's to the Avsa. What I find interesting about the Avsa, though, is it's while all of them are like molded with black in this wave, this one is molded in silver. It almost makes it akin to the 2004 Metru Matoran masks. Again, would have been great if this was a little bit more generic, so you could use it as a Metru Matoran mask. But unfortunately, it's the monster face, so that little quirky detail doesn't quite work. But yeah, Vampra is kind of neat overall as a flying bat thing. But unfortunately, if you want to do anything else other than bat shit with Vampra, you're kind of limited to this weird, almost like crippled hobbling build. It's interesting to note that every single blue villain since Vizok has had this limb as its arms. Vizok had it, Takadox has it, Vampra has it. Just something to note, I guess. But yeah, not really much else. Again, it's another one where it was a new build. I was happy we were getting a new build, but actually Vampra doesn't have that much notable. Definitely executes the concept better than Chirox, but beyond that, it's not that interesting. Again, it's just okay, cool, standard limbs. We don't tiny limbs, no unique weapon. Yeah, it's just okay. Yeah, so Vampire is okay. I've seen some people like, oh, Vampir's the GOAT. I'm like, if your GOAT can't really walk properly, what GOAT is it? Okay, and then we'll talk on Antros, I guess, next. Antros is just freaking... Antros is a set that is a generic Inika style build. Despite using the new body, that is completely carried by his unique parts. Like, he does, I guess... He steals all the thunder from Vampira, because Antros has unique blades and unique wings, which Vampira gets neither. And the parts that Antros has are freaking awesome looking. He looks vicious. Antros is one of the most vicious looking characters there is. I don't know who this dude is in the corner. This face is crazy. Maybe the most evil looking mask they did. The teeth, the color layering, the way the eyes look, freaking awesome. Really, really match the almost like dragon style wings that he has as well. Goes a long way to making him look like the leader, the evil, like vicious character. These sickle type blades he has are really cool as well. Awesome pieces, look really evil. They look like they would work on sort of winged builds as well. There's a lot of swooshiness to them. Really vicious looking. And that's it. That's all I can really say. I don't know why he doesn't have armor here. It makes him look almost like he has the same issue that the Metru build has, except probably worse because it's so unarmored. I have no idea. I really hazard to say that an extra 2 pieces, a pin and an armor piece, would have detracted from the set's budget. It's a weird choice, and that makes him look really skinny and weird. But I can overlook that because just his overall vibe is great. He's just a set that is completely carried by cool pieces, and they really work to giving him this overall really vicious look to him, that I really think sets him apart from all of the Fantoko Makuta. He's definitely the best one, despite being the most generic, having the worst armored body. But, you know, it just kind of just shows that, you know, you give a nice cohesive set of stuff to a character, and it does a lot of the heavy lifting. Mask, great. Wings, great. Weapons, great. Fantastic. Again, he kind of takes he's the reverse of Vampire. Vampire has a great armored body, has kind of a unique physiology, like build to him, but has nothing unique. Antros is a generic build, not well armored, has all this unique stuff, and is way better for it. But yeah, I think really that's all I got to say about Antros. Again, there's not much to talk about him. Everything unique about him is about the Makuta build, which we've already talked about. And then Krika. Let's talk on Krika. That is not Krika, that is Antros. Krika. Krika, to me, was like what are we doing here? He doesn't even have posable limbs. He is pure matoran build. Like, he's a matoran. He is a canister set with matoran limbs. What the hell are we doing here? And as I was like, what the hell? And even his piece count, I was like, I remember looking into it, and I was like, he must have a tiny piece count then. Why does he not have full limbs? Looked into it. There hadn't been a set with this few pieces since Liwa Nuva 2002. I believe they both have about 40 pieces. I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? I'll say this. I was very happy to see that they continue to use the Makuta body without the Tridax pod. Again, it's like, you're going to create a new piece, keep using it. And he uses it to good effect. It creates a nice rounded shell for him. I love the fact that this piece can interact well with the new Onua Mystica chest. I say it's Onua, it's equally his. They came out at the same time. With Krika's white chest being used in there, I think that's a great addition. It is a little bit sunken in comparison to where the Metru hip falls, but it's fine. There's enough of a ridge that it kind of creates this sort of cohesive look. And again, he's a bit of a creature, man. These new pieces are really cool. I like how we got a set of new weapons, really. We got this, and they complement each other really well. I like this piece better. It's really neat, but again, it doesn't serve the same function. His armor is really cool. He also brings back a slicer arm to use the kind of the shoulder-mounted cannon. It doesn't quite feel that shoulder mounted or like that weird, like I've complained before that after Nuparu and Ica basically just spammed this idea that every character has a shoulder cannon, despite the Nuparu and Ica having that feel very tied to his character. And he wasn't the first one to have it. Cracker had one as well, but I feel like it's different here, giving these guys like shapeshifters, and the fact that it's so mobile. It doesn't feel like a shoulder cannon. It almost feels like he has like mutated or shapeshifted an extra limb to carry this, and it can just kind of be freestanding. So I actually think it's pretty cool and unique here. The weapon color scheme doesn't bother me either. I think because of the red pump and that Krika has Marta red in his color scheme doesn't make it stand out, and the fact that the ammo is the only thing is the off-colored element to it. Again, it makes it feel like toxic or something, and it's not part of him, it's being fired, so the green never really bothered me. And then the face is a really good, really cool looking design. I like the fact that while the others used the Borok eyes, he used the Baraki eyes. It's pretty neat. Makes him a little pea brain, but again, he's a creature man. And while I like Takadox a lot, I think he does the Mantis design even better. Because I think Takadox is still while he's a stick man, he has very normal limbs. He looks really insectoid. And again, I cried a lot about the use of the Matoran limbs. But similar to other characters that have short limbs, I think like an Onua Nuva, 2002, LEGO often incorporates limb length, including the weapon. And I think with Krika's weapons, they are clearly like supposed to be sort of part of his limbs. This isn't a blade he detaches and suddenly he has tiny little arms and legs, because that would be ridiculous. These weapons are part of his body. So actually using the smaller Avmatoran limbs to allow for these large pieces to be his forward front, I don't know what you call a mantis limp wrist blade thing, but that's what those are. Works fantastically here and actually ends up doing a lot for this build and making it look really insectoid, really non-standard. And again, the thing I hated about this set was using the Armatoran lens actually makes this set great. Again, we have hindered articulation like we do with Goras, just because we have less articulation points, but what does it do? It serves the aesthetics of the set in the end. So in my opinion, it's well worth it. And yeah, I think it goes a long way into executing what this set was trying to get across in terms of this Mantis build. And again, I actually believe it achieves it a little bit better than Takadox, even though Takadox did a good job at representing that as well. And interesting that, they went back to the well 2 waves later. But hey, I'm not complaining. It ends up being a very cool overall look. I'm not sure. Do I have anything else to say about him? I guess I can just say in general that the Makuta had very weird incorporations for the Avmatoran connection. Even the Fantoka Makuta, where they were specifically designed for that, they have their Shadow Matoran connected at a right angle at their ass. Looks like they're mounting them. I don't know why. It's a weird choice. And Krika has it as well, but who cares? It's such an afterthought on the Mystica that it doesn't really matter. And if you don't like that piece, you can just take it off. So yeah, Krika overall. Also, both him and Goras have the same neck design. This longer neck design using the Metru limb would then make its way a lot into 2009 as well. Kind of like it. Gives us an extra articulation point. And especially on this set, who is, despite having short limbs, very kind of tall and gangly, I think works very well. Yeah, so Krika was one of those ones where once my irrational hatred of the fact that they were using Matoran pieces as canister limbs wore off, or canister parts wore off, I was like, okay, wait a minute. This is actually a pretty great set, just overall in terms of its looks. So, then we fall into the ranking. So I think this is the one where I've kind of waffled on without putting anything in place at all compared to some of the other ones where, I was debating the middle chunk. So, I actually think I'm going to... I'm gonna... maybe this is dumb because I should really work up to who my favorite is versus doing this, but I'm actually, which is going to be crazy for me to even, fathom. Again, as a kid, I'd have been like, what the hell are you doing? This doesn't make sense. And mind you, once I got the set as a kid, I warmed up pretty soon. And also, fun fact, the Mystica were the first line of sets that I actually got all 6 of them at the time. And considering how disappointing those sets were, it's interesting to note. But yeah, they were the first complete wave I got. I'm gonna put Kricker actually as my favorite. Kricker is my favorite, which, having a Mystica Makuta as my favorite, especially with the matoran limbs, at a point in my life would have been crazy. I'm going to put Antros as my number 2. Again, Antros is really, really generic, and the non-armored stomach is weird, but the mask, the wings, the weapons, the vibes, he just gets it. Another coffee sip. Now it's just these 3. The weird ones. I'm actually very stuck. Yeah, my brain wants to put Gorast at number 5. Historically, I would have easily put Gorast at number 5, but I don't think she deserves it. Like, she's trying to do something unique. Despite the hindered limb articulation, I think that was a sacrifice to give us extra limbs to better achieve the mosquito design that she has. And if you kind of give her that, the only real major mark on her set is that stupid backwards grey torso. Like, why is it grey? Makes no sense. Maybe I will put Chirox at number 5. It just looks... Yeah, I don't really like anything about Chirox coming down to it in terms of what they tried to do differently for his build. I don't think really it works that well. And again, this feels kind of heresy to me. Like, where I was kind of indifferent with some of those kind of mid-Glatorian Legends rankings, this one feels more like does this... like this, I'm fighting my bias with objectivity. But I think Chirox actually does sit at number 5. He just looks kind of janky and weird. I don't think really executes what they were trying to do very well. And between these two, it's like both have hindered articulation. Vampra does nothing unique in terms of piece inclusions. Doesn't have unique weapons. The limbs, while make for a great flying bat creature, kind of limits Vampra to this pose. It means that while Gorast has limited articulation, Gorast actually ends up having more points of articulation than Vampra, while in essence of, creating a more unique set. Gorast also has the energy sword wings, which are a far cooler piece than the standard bat wing. We get a lot more claw pieces on Gorast. Oof. It's a tough one. I think, and I if that damn grey torso wasn't there, if it's almost like if you could if you could lift Vampra's body and just give it to Gorast, it would be better. And actually, it would be kind of cool because not only would it add to the mosquito thing with like having an egg sac on the body. Can I just like blend these two together and just create like the next entry? I'm gonna just do something wild. Sorry, Vampra, you go in number 4. And Gorast goes in number 3. Which is insane. Like, even before doing this list and sitting down for this video, if you told me that, oh yeah, 2 of the Mystica Makuta are going to be in your top 3, I'd be like, fuck off. I'd be like, fuck off. Like, no way. Like, Kricker felt like the exception. Kricker felt like the one Mystica set that really kind of stood apart. Like, this one is really great. Despite the low piece count, despite the fact it uses matoran names, the fact that it's like everything it does wrong, it kind of does in service of making the set great. I think if you asked me as a kid, I'd be like, yeah, Antros is the best, and then probably Vampra and Chirox and and then the other, and Gorast and Bittle fucking suck. They sit at the bottom. But looking at them together, I don't think that's warranted. Crazy, I can't believe it. I can't believe Gorast is in my top 3, but I think she deserves it. I think the effort to go the extra mile to work with this creature, like they decided, we will take the hit on articulated limbs to give her the mosquito look. The energy sword ass wings are fucking awesome. The build of the legs, there is a term for that. I don't know what they call it. There is a term. Do I want to waste time faffing around figuring it out? Dog leg name. There is a term. I don't know. There is a word for it that people use in like fiction to describe this leg design, and I can't remember it right now. Is cool. Kind of seeing how they were able to kind of change the direction of build for the leg was great. And I think that puts it apart from Vampra. Everything Vampra does in service of adding to the bat stuff kind of hinders the set if you aren't permanently flying it around. The kind of the stump claw leg thing was done better on Krika. And the arms are just, it's the same damn limb that we had with the previous 2 blue villains, and he doesn't even get his own weapon, his own unique weapon. So yeah, I think this sort of makes sense to me, and I think Bittle just loses out overall because I don't think it necessarily captures the creature very well, and I think it just looks goofy, and I don't like his mask. Meanwhile, the rest of these guys, I'm pretty sure I like their masks. So yeah, I think that's my ranking here. Honestly, this one kind of surprises me, and again, if you told me that in the top 3, 2 of them would be Mystique and Makuta, maybe even a week ago, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? But actually, this feels right to me. This feels fair. I think Chirox and Vampra can't coast on the Triadax pod body for too long. They, for me, it clouded my judgment on them. And I think Krika handily deserves that number 1. So yeah, that's it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm sure this one will probably have some disagreements. I say that on every single one, but actually maybe not on this one. Maybe I've actually played more to the favor of the crowd here. Onopex and Pals is on the way. I think I'm actually going to just, instead of putting the pressure on and constantly saying it's coming soon, it will be out in December. I think that gives me time to wrap up everything while my life is busy, and allows me to kind of tweak if I need to, and then I want to make it an accompanying short to go along with it. Please check out the other ranking videos, check out my other videos. There'll be more of these coming soon, and yeah, enjoy your day. Let me know who you want to see next. Bye bye.